This one, I believe I titled it Project Inception. I went with the Deus Ex theme, which I felt was long overdue. I started looking into wanting to downsize my computer, and when I came across the S4 Mini, I was extremely impressed. Found the the Discord, started following it, really liked the community, loved some of the builds that everybody was doing, and then it became a challenge for me to try to cram as much as I could into it. For me, the challenge was, how can we get the 1080 Ti in there brickless? I wanted this to be all in one. I wanted to use every millimeter of space possible. So we created the shift bracket. I believe that was me, you, and Tangents, by the way.
Yeah.
On the Discord that kind of spearheaded that.
It was so funny because she came and she said, we got to do this shift bracket thing. I've been talking to this guy. And I thought that's not going to work. And I certainly ate humble pie as I sat there in fusion with her behind my shoulder saying, nope, nope, this way, over this way. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that I thought of it and I was like, it is possible, we can do it. It's the only way that it would fit. So I actually cut the original bracket to make it work, and I was able to get a 10 millimeter cut, or a 10 millimeter shift, I'm sorry. But then the bracket that we designed in CAD, we were able to get that 14 millimeter shift, and that was huge. You could see all the space that there is right now. And on top of that, I was also thinking, well, the HD Plex is going to get really hot sitting up on top of the card, and I would love to raise it even higher. So I modified the HD Plex to be attached to this very large LED heatsink in order to pull a lot more of that heat. And on top of that, with the way that it was mounted, it was actually going to pull the HD Plex up higher in the case as well, which it did. So I had to do quite a bit of cutting, but my Dremel skills are on point. Use the 180-degree power connectors for the GPU. It gave us a huge gap for clearance up at the top of the card in conjunction with the shift bracket. I went with the Black Ridge cooler on the CPU. I wanted maximum possible because I threw an i9 9900K in this, and I didn't want to have to undervolt it. I didn't want to have to compromise on the stock speeds. There wasn't enough space, obviously, for the panels, and I thought, why not open it? And that idea kind of came to me from the game of Deus Ex, where they have these bionic arms and the parts open. You know, they split open in the face, they split open, things like that. So I thought, why not split the case open in that way? And I tried it. I drilled some holes, re-drilled the holes, re-tapped them. It's a 5 millimeter shift on both sides. And you can see that here in the center. Normally those would be, it would be completely together. So the 5 millimeter shift. But then the problem was the panels would be floating and there was a lot of flexing. So solved that problem by putting aluminum standoffs along the chassis to prevent any bowing or flexing, and so it keeps it very solid.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite features. I mean, there's so much detail. I'm trying to capture it on camera.
I've done another build. I've done a few of these builds actually for other customers with the panels popped out. And on one of the builds, he did not want to go with this larger, thicker and wider front bezel plate. I did, and I really liked the look of it. So he went with the original bezel. And you can definitely see all the way down the sides, and it still looks really cool. And I took the same 5 millimeter standoffs and used those on the front bezel as well to pop out the front. And that really helps with the GPU, since this is a Zotac card and they're all horizontal. The fins, the heat blowing out, actually comes out of the sides and out of the sky slots on the front. So it really helps.
So this is a cover of a hair pomade.
That is actually the top off of some hair pomade. It was originally round and I sliced it up a little bit. I painted it black, gave it a little gloss look, but it has that exact Titan look of the armor on NM Jensen, and I really, really wanted to pull that in. And originally I had no idea where I was going to put it, and then I decided why not encase the power button, and I think it would look pretty cool.
That's perfect. And for the side, these 3D printed hexagons.
So at this point in the build, I had already decided, you know what, I'm just going to get a 3D printer. So I did. I got a cheap 3D printer, and I started playing with it for the first time, and I designed these armor pieces that are actually on some of the enemies in the game that I really liked. I wanted to tie that into the case as well. So I 3D printed those out of an ABS plastic, sprayed them with some House of Color gold, put a clear coat on them, and then on one of the particular pieces I wanted to put my signature on it, so I threw that on there too. Originally I was going to put them all flush and even. I didn't quite like it. I thought it was just kind of flat. Again, it didn't give that look of things opening or popping out. I did standoffs. I believe they're 6mm brass insert standoffs that I embedded into each one of the pieces, and then attached it, drilled holes, and used screws in order to get them.
And what's so cool too is that I see the extrusion, the filament extrusion pattern, but it looks like you designed it that way. I mean, it just looks so good.
I think it almost looks like a circuit board, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to keep that electronic circuit board look. So the second part of the build that I really wanted to do was put an LCD monitor built into the system itself. So I took an iPad 3 and I ripped it apart. And I built it into the side of the case.
It's so high res. It's way higher res than if you just had like a normal monitor that size or a laptop that size.
Yeah, that's why I went for the iPad 3
Retina
display. Super crisp, very clean. I love it. I 3D printed the bezel. Originally I was going to use screws on the outside, but I hated the look of it. I wanted something a lot cleaner. So I went with screws from the other side, and there was a little bit of jiggle, so I ended up using a little bit of automotive double-sided tape just to kind of hold it all together real nice and clean. This turns a lot of heads in the airport. When I pull it out of the case and I'm waiting for a flight and I fire it up, I plug my headphones in, I got my Xbox controller, and I just sit it right on a little table in front of me and gaming. Plug it one cable right into the wall at the airport, and there we go.
I love fans too. I love the depth from the side panels to the fans. You have so much room there.
Original bezel, it was just repainted from the Zotac bezel to match the black, and that is a Noctua fan mod.
Oh my goodness, so you took the Noctua fans and hubs and put them in the original shroud. It looks so good. Super quiet too.
Very quiet. When this thing revs up, it's a gentle hum. Really the loudest fan is the other Noctua fan on the Black Ridge, but typically in my setup in the office, I'm using this screen for Discord
that's awesome.
for a web page, and then I have my main monitor sitting right in front of me, and the CPU faces away, so the noise that ramps up from that is typically inaudible, especially during a gaming session. And I'm usually wearing headphones anyway. My favorite part of the build is all of it. That was the thing about this build, is it took me a long time, and that was because I wanted to get everything right. I love the armor pieces on the side. I know a lot of people don't. But I love the look. Again, I went for a Deus Ex theme, and I feel like I nailed it. Hardest part of the build was the iPad screen. I went through several bezels, several rear mounting mechanisms that I had to 3D print. The adapter board for me didn't work right away. I had to try several different ones. And then finding a low profile DisplayPort cable like this one that was made by ADT took me a while to find, but it really pulled it all together. Everything else though seemed to go really easy.
If we were to put a bunch of links in the description of all the parts that you ended up using to this build, that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, I could do that, and I can even link the small form factor build log. There is a build log on small form factor forums for this build right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it is actually linked in the Discord on Josh's NFC.
I just want everybody that watched the YouTube video to know where they can get some of the information of how this thing went together, because it's a masterpiece in my opinion. And I've seen a few fantastic masterpieces in my time, but this
I've seen a lot too.
This tops it.
Especially on your Discord page. A lot of you guys out there are doing some really awesome builds. I'm really impressed.
It's just that every part of this, there's no cheaping out. I'm looking inside, the stuff the camera can't pick up, the sleeving, how it's tucked in, the LEDs that you have, and how you've arranged those, the paint job. The HD Plex just blends completely into the heatsink from the inside to the outside. The standoffs for the front bezel and how the panels are spread just the right amount to actually look like it was intentional, like part of the mod, rather than it busting out the seams. I see that you colored the LED on my stock on-off switch. I guess you dyed it or used a Sharpie or something. And
it's a combination of both. It was very difficult to try to dye that plastic. It did not want to play.
How you have the graphics card in here, you have plenty of room on the top and for the front. Not exactly sure how you manage that because usually they tilt a little bit, but that looks just so beautiful from the outside looking in. And then I love the 3D printed armor plates and how you arrange those. And I like how stout they are because, like I said, when I picked it up in the box and I bumped against them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just broke this. But they're really stout. And they did a great job with sleeving this golden cable too.
I really love this beefier aviation connector up here. I just love the chrome on it. It's very sturdy.
You did some kind of mod to get these fatties in here?
I did. Only thing I don't like about the Ace Rock boards, and that is an Ace Rock Phantom Gaming ITX motherboard, but they always put those so close together, and I had to mod the cutouts and spread them out just for those to fit.
It's that attention to detail that makes this incredible. So thank you, Eric, for sharing this with me and driving down so we can
thank you, Josh.
get it on the video.
Thanks for the opportunity, but I'm really glad you like it, man. I believe the next upgrade I'm gonna throw in this bad boy is probably gonna be a 3060 Ti.
All right, guys, this is the one to top. So take it as a challenge and get out there and get modding. Glorious build.